A sincere apology, it can be powerful, but only when it's done right.
Yeah, you
Mr.
have to do
Hughes.
it right. Saoirse Hanley joins us now to explore why saying sorry can be tough, but how it can also be surprisingly good for us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hi, Saoirse.
We say sorry. Like,
all the
we
time.
bump into somebody, sorry, like, do anything, sorry. But they're just meaningless sorries, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they're not meaningless in that way, but it's like...
It's
sorry.
a cultural
It's
sorry.
a cultural thing. We all
We were
say
saying
sorry.
earlier, before I came on air, that we were saying, like, you know, we don't say excuse me going past someone.
No, we say
just
sorry.
immediately go to I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very different thing to actually having to properly say sorry to someone. Because I'll say sorry to anyone for everything, things I haven't done, nothing to do with it, but I'll say sorry anyway. When it comes time to actually admit I've done something or said something wrong and then apologise for it, it's a totally different ballgame.
Someone crashed into me and there was someone beside me going, just don't admit guilt. You say sorry all the time. They were like, don't say sorry when you get out of the car.
I've done the same thing.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, don't say it. Because it is a cultural thing. And I think we're losing it a little bit. You know, when someone bumps into you in the street now, in the road, and they don't say sorry. I'm like, no, lads, come on.
No, I always say
0896
sorry, yeah.
111 Do you like the way that we say sorry for absolutely everything? But then real sincere apologies. That can be hard, because we can say sorry and it not means anything.
That's
but then
what
when
I'm
you've
saying.
actually done a wrong...
Yeah, I think, and the first, I suppose, personal fault I'll admit in introing this is that I'm really stubborn, like definitely to a fault. And I think if you are in any way stubborn, it's even harder to apologise for something, because that does mean backing down on something that maybe you have a held belief, or you felt like how you conducted yourself in a situation was a certain way or whatever. And then maybe it's brought to your attention that what you did was wrong, or you upset someone, or you said something that upset them or whatever. And there is time to come for an apology. But then there's this kind of sense of having to really put your ego aside and do that. But I think it's important to do, because I feel like if you're in any way, you know, worried about people, your friends liking you and feeling like they can trust you, you have to kind of not throw yourself at their feet and kind of admit when you're wrong. But there is a sense of really putting your personal ego aside and being like, OK, I'm going to face this head on and just admit that whatever I said or did was wrong because X, Y, Z. Or you felt that it was, and that's a good enough reason for me to be saying, I'm really sorry about that.
Because I've been in situations like that where I've said to somebody, you were wrong now, you should apologise for that. And their reaction was, but I felt I was doing the right thing at the time. Rather than sort of saying, putting their thing was, but I did the right thing. I may have caused sort of heartache or something like that, but I felt I was doing the right thing. Is there a correlation between that, where people just won't say they're sorry because they believe they're in the right, even though it has caused someone maybe suffering or harm?
There is that, and again, I think that's part of the stubbornness too, because there is a sense of you really want, or even a sense of just kind of, not justice, but if you feel like you were right in what you were doing or said, or like that, you thought that what you were saying was the right thing, there is kind of a feeling that you want to kind of get your back up and be like, oh my God, but I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
Or, I didn't mean for it to come across like that. And I think it's definitely something you experience like, with like close friends or partners. Like, I've definitely had to really learn to be like, okay, I have this version of the events. This is what I think I was doing.
Yeah.
But if what I said or did, regardless of what I thought I was doing, hurt that other person or upset them or whatever it is, that's probably still a good enough reason for me to apologise and to try and mean it. It's really hard to not... I think an apology sometimes is weakened by you then saying, oh, but I didn't mean for it to come across like that, but I guess because it did, you know, I'm really sorry. That doesn't really mean anything. But I think if you can actually be like, OK, that's how it came across to this person. I have now upset them with this. I'm sorry.
It's the sorry, not sorry. I'm sorry that you were offended by my words.
I'm
it's
sorry
your
that
fault.
you felt that that's what I said.
Now, intellectual humility. This is something that's being bandied about at the moment. Kind of the idea that you can't admit when you're wrong or uncertain. What's this all about?
I think there is kind of this, sometimes admitting that you're wrong in something, or especially that you've been wrong about something. Like, there's this idea that, you know, there is kind of, it was stupid of you to have done.
Is there an issue now, because we are starting to live in echo chambers where this is the opinion, this is who I'm aligned with online and I only speak to them. We're no longer hearing a diversity of opinion and able to have sort of calm chats. You have to get your back up immediately and be like, but they're wrong and they're the worst thing in the entire world. Is that having an impact on us not being able to back down and say sorry?
I think
or having a broader mindset?
Because when you end up with something being quite partisan and being quite split one way, it's it all but eradicates the middle ground. And an apology for something, or for, you know, admitting that you were wrong about something, does put you back into that middle ground. If it doesn't exist, then there's nowhere to be. So it's kind of a sense that I think there's this kind of idea, certainly, you know, of like, think a great example is like, say, in activism, you have this idea of like the perfect activist who gets everything right all the time. And we don't really give much of an ear for when someone that we hold up as being really like morally correct or superior, if they then do something that we don't think aligns with that, we're not very good at like letting them off with it. And I think that it ends up harming us more because then you don't give them any room to kind of come back from that. And it's kind of, sometimes that gets like bandied about with the whole, people will say like, oh, cancel culture this or whatever, and it's separate from that, because it is just, I think the more that we kind of don't let people be wrong and let people apologise for being wrong, you end up kind of where we just are more split. And it gets further and further apart.
So if we actually do sit down then and we make a genuine apology to somebody, how does that then make us feel? Do we feel better for that as the apologer? We sort of say, is it good for us? Is it good for us to sit down and go, Muireann, I was wrong. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have said that. It's my fault. I really apologise for doing that.
Let's be honest, in this relationship, it's always me that has to sit down and do that with both of you.
No, but I mean, do you feel better then? Does that
the science says it's good for our health.
It's good for your health.
It is better. And even if, like, I especially think I am a big ruminator. So if you're somebody who's in any way, like, anxiously predisposed, or you think about things a lot, if you think you've wronged someone or someone has told you you've wronged them, worse again, and you can't, like, I think if you're trying to dance around it or pretend it's not happening or push it aside or, you know, just kind of imagine that it's not actually going on, you end up feeling worse because you're sitting on it and you're thinking about it and you're feeling sick about it and you're wondering if they're going to catch you out and ask you about it or tell you again. So just admitting it up front, it's hard to do, but it's way better to do it for yourself.
Yeah, apparently it's actually better for our health, saying sorry.
Your health?
Yeah, you get it out.
Are some people sort of, they don't do it because they're afraid the apology won't be accepted?
I think sometimes you are, and like that, I think as well, it comes back to that idea of like wanting to qualify your apology, that, you know, you're like, oh, if I don't say it well enough, then they won't accept it. But I think just saying it, even if it's not accepted in the moment, it's probably for the better in the long run. Can
you say sorry? Let's talk about your relationships. Is it something that you'll do just to make an easier life? 0896 111 111. Saoirse Hanley, journalist, thank you so much for joining us on Ireland AM. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.